breaking down the political landscape. This is KQ, truth for you. Political honesty rooted in God. This is KQ, truth for you.
Good evening. Welcome to KQ. I'm Ken.
I'm Kevlon.
Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. This is KQ, the truth for you.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Kevlon. Welcome to KQ.
I'm Ken.
And I am a special guest. I won't call myself a host. Although, you know what I'm saying, man. Listen, I'm the youngest. And I really come behind, with a lot of, gathered gems. But I'm KK.
All right.
All right.
Hey, Kay, scoot in a little bit because your voice is breaking up a little bit. Lean in some. There we go. So,
Okay.
yeah, indeed. We are here once again from the mean streets of Montgomery, Alabama, where it's cold, but it really ain't that many cold folk here.
And it's cold-blooded.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure. Yeah.
All right.
Another great month. I'm happy. The first thing I want to mention is we just had another primary happen in South Carolina as of yesterday. Kind of unusual to have voting on a Saturday, but I'm sure the people that got to vote appreciated it because it's a Saturday, they off. But I think Biden kind of won, didn't he?
Oh, he won big, like over 95%. It was a Democratic primary, of course, but he did have a couple of running mates that kooky lady that used to be on Oprah Winfrey.
Marianne Williamson.
Yeah, Marianne. Woo-hoo! And then this other guy who's a congressman or something, he had big money backers and everything donating, and he managed to get a whole lot of money. All that for 1.7% of the vote. Joe Biden slaughtered him.
Yeah.
In a state where previously Joe Biden got like 50-something%, but he's still, but 95, 97. Okay, yeah. That means we're probably in good shape. That means we're probably
it's expected from an incumbent president, so I wouldn't celebrate too much, but at the same time, there was a lot of skepticism going into this thing that really black people lukewarm about it, and it's a high percentage of black voters in South Carolina. So this was a pretty good test to see, not just polling wise, but how people are really going to vote when it comes down to it. So I was kind of relieved to see that he won by such a big margin.
And you know what? Immediately shot me down right after that. A new poll comes out. Biden's approval is down.
Yep. Skepticism. It's skepticism abound. But you got to remember, who is it that they're polling? They're
right. Yeah.
with landlines or cell phones. And when people don't recognize the phone number, I guess most young people don't answer it. I'm not a young person anymore, but I ain't going to answer. So, and
I
then,
never get the call. I never get the call.
Me either. And if you ever got a call,
you talking about a political
a poller?
Oh,
yeah, they've tried to contact me, but I've put up a pretty immovable barrier. But they tried to contact.
But so. Once again, we always like to narrow down to the nuts and bolts. We definitely want people to exercise their right to vote. Participation in the political process should be considered something that we all should do. And, it's like a civic duty, if you will. And an informed populace is necessary for any democracy to thrive. So that's why we do this, is to basically drum up the discussion. We put our opinions forward. Of course, you don't have to agree with us. You don't have to agree with a word we say. That's not a requisite. But we definitely want you to ponder the topics. That's it.
All right. Think about it. Yeah. Absolutely. So tonight, first thing I really wanted to do, because I'm so confused. I'm like, why would his numbers be down? Knowing this man is...
Let me ask KK a question.
Uh-huh.
KK, give me a quick rundown of what you hear. You're a younger guy, you know what I'm saying? You got friends, you participate in social media. So what are you seeing as far as like the the tendency for people to want to support Joe Biden under the current circumstances?
Well, to be honest, it's a mixed bag. It's a mixed bag. Um, I do hear people who have um, verbally, whether through social media or actually in person discussion, championed the Biden administration and went over and highlighted and outlined what he's done, what the implementation of his policies, what he's put forth. Um, and but then on the flip, to keep it real, on the flip, you do have uh, a segment of the society, I would say, and this is reflected again in person and on social media. You do have a segment of the Black community saying, "Look, I understand the comparison. I understand the juxtaposition of the Republican Party that you have, that we know they're undergirded and they're pretty much backed and cushioned by white extremist groups, comfortable racists, open white supremacists. We know this. We know that that's who was, to a large degree, really by and large, one of the reasons why Trump won. It's irrefutable. And so, one thing I can say to preface, I will answer, but to preface, one thing I can say is I've across the board, it's openly, it's acknowledged in the Black community, it's a consensus that the Republicans do harbor and are welcoming and inviting to open racists and white supremacists. That's real shit. Like, you, excuse my language if that's supposed to be bleeped out, but that's real stuff.
We try to
Yeah,
keep it PG.
we're keeping it real. We're gonna just keep it G. That's real shit. But with that being said, you have people who, whether it's through a misinterpretation or whether it's just an indignant takeaway from the tally sheet when you look at the Democrats. And these people craft and form an opinion based on that tally sheet where we see specific groups of people, albeit necessarily, but specific groups of people addressed and acknowledged by the Democratic administration, by the president's administration. You see the migrants undergirded, subsidized. Not saying that they should be, but you see that as an accepted stance. That's part of one of the bullet points from the Democrats. Whether right or wrong, you have people asking and believing in themselves and believing from their vantage point that they are valid in asking the question, can and will the Democrats, or is it politically feasible for the Democrats to address Black people specifically and exclusively, as you've seen they've done with the migrants, as you've seen they've done perhaps in the Ukraine, perhaps in taking a side in the Israel-Palestine conflict. You have the American government, the American apparatus. You have it honed in, channeling funds to these specific groups. Not saying it's right or wrong. Not saying it's right or wrong. And you have people. You have. I'm gonna just keep it real. You have the people who you have you have part of the constituency who understands what the Biden administration has done and what it's been trying to do and what they have the political capital to do. But then you have the other side who say, okay, I understand those facts, not negating any of that. But we feel like as loyal and as cohesive as a unit we've been to support the Democrats and put them in office, can they do something like that for the specifically and exclusively for the Black community? you do have people asking that question.
Okay.
So maybe it's an issue of the message being said enough and at a high enough, frequency and repetitively enough to where people actually understand. Maybe it's a messaging issue.
All right. Well, thank you. Appreciate that.
Sorry for the long-winded answer.
Now, just to kind of, I would say that out of all of the different cultures that we have here in America, the African American culture, we've been treated among the worst out of all of them. Would you agree?
That's very true.
Okay. Because of the way we've been treated, we are typically on the low end in terms of income and financial capability. Would you agree with that?
Oh yeah.
Okay. So whenever I definitely want to just put a soft cushion underneath what you just said, which is whenever there are policies that are meant to go straight to the heart of the low income community broadly across the country, oftentimes, and most oftentimes, it disproportionately assists Black people. For instance, Obamacare. The percentage of Black people that didn't have health care before Obamacare was much higher than the percentage of white people that didn't have health care. And the beneficiaries of the Medicaid expansion disproportionately help Black people because they're among the poorest in most demographics. So the impetus to provide that type of assistance to Black people, it's couched within the policies that are pushed out. But have no illusion, oftentimes they do help Black people in a disproportionate fashion. There was a guy named Frederick Hoffman back in the day. He wrote a book. It was called, well, I can pull it up in a second, but basically his idea was Black people, this was back in the 1800s, late 1800s. Black people are genetically inferior. And so the only thing we have to do is keep them from getting health care and they'll die off because they're genetically inferior. And he basically went to Congress and preached it to Congress and everything. And basically because of the movement that he started, that's the reason why today we don't have a national health care plan, just like every other industrialized country. It's because of that mentality, which is we're not going to do healthcare for everybody, because if we do, we're going to include Black people. We don't want to pay for them, so nobody gets it. You see, that's kind of like the mentality. And so to push through and get a national healthcare law in place that basically takes away pre-existing conditions and lifetime caps and keeps kids on for longer, expands Medicaid, you know, in order to get that through, it took a lot of doing. And believe me, the majority of the people who voted against it, they voted against it because they didn't want to see all these Black people having health care.
Right.
So
Yeah.
there is some of that going on. I just didn't want I didn't want to leave it without putting that cushion underneath to say there's some of that is going on. We just have to increase it. Hopefully we can get some super majorities in the Senate so that we can start looking at legislation that can specifically address the plight of Black people. That'd be wonderful. But I can tell you one thing, like you said, we ain't gonna never get it from the doggone Republicans.
Right. But see, right. Okay, real talk. Just to kind of link off of that. That's real shit. That's real talk. That's real stuff. That's actually that's honest introspection, bro. That's real. That's the real deal truth.
Yeah. So appreciate the feedback, Kay. So Ken, so let's go through these doggone articles.
Oh, yeah.
Check them out and see what we got going on in the United States of America.
All right. So with all this bad polls that this man keeps coming out with, at the same time, he keeps doing some things. Wow. So we got Biden's jobs, boom. How policies boosted the labor market recovery in 2021. Now, also, right now, currently, I don't think we pulled that chart, Kev, that Black and Hispanic unemployment is at its lowest rates in history.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like he does the policies. We benefit from it by, a lot of us are employed now, which is great.
And
say what?
Wages are up too.
And wages are up. Yeah. And public sentiment is up and about the economy. But then Trump goes out and says, the only reason it went up is because I had announced that I was running and I've been doing great in the polls. And you saw what we did in New Hampshire. And you see.
So therefore.
Yeah. So as soon as they see that I'm winning, boom, the market explodes.
People get hired more because they think I'm coming.
Yeah, right. So, but he's not getting the credit he deserves, in my opinion.
No, he's not. I mean, let's just put it this way. Job markets, stock markets, they like stability. They don't like crazy stuff. Like, it's exciting if you bite, listen to somebody, Stephanie Miller uses this example all the time. It's exciting if you bite into a sandwich and there's a finger in your sandwich. That's some exciting stuff, man. But it's something you would never want to happen. But when you look at Biden and say, well, I'm not excited and he's just boring and he's old, so I'm not feeling him. He's not inspiring to me. Just keep in mind, he's not a finger in the sandwich, but that's not really what we need. We don't need a finger in our sandwich.
Right. No doubt. No doubt. And boy, yeah. That previous administration.
Bless you, man.
Lord, excuse me. Yeah, the old previous administration. My goodness. That was some fingers and some sandwiches. So yeah, man, look at that. President Biden jobs booms number 6.7 million numbers of jobs added during Biden's first 12 months in office. Wow.
Yeah,
Increase,
total of 14 million.
Increase in unemployment during Biden's first 12 months, 4.7%. 4 million numbers of jobs that were added 2021. Boy, 93 percentage of jobs during the pandemic that have been recovered as of March 2022.
Yeah, so everything else on top of that, is jobs beyond what we lost during the pandemic. We've been caught up with that. So what else we got there, man?
So then I fast forward to our gross domestic product. Oh yeah, this is our economic output. This is what it's saying, like all the products we produce and put out in the streets. 4.9 annualized 4.9% rate from July through September. Wow.
Just to point out one quick thing, you want to operate in an economy that's moving in a positive direction and that's growing. That is something that it can benefit people across the board. You're not just sitting here in a stagnant economy trying to make it. You're in a thriving economy right now trying to make it. So the landscape that we're operating in is way better than really anybody predicted. And things to the point where the Republicans are really not mentioning the economy anymore when they attack Biden. They just attack him for being old, and they go after him about the border. So. And he's trying to do a border. He's worked out an agreement with some senators on the border, but now the Republicans say they won't push it forward because they don't want to take that issue off the table. So, and that bill would literally end catch and release. It would put more border agents, fund more border agents, more judges to process asylum claims, and
more troops.
Stoppage on how many people basically can come in, period. So that if a certain number of people come in over a certain time period, they basically shut it down to where nobody can come in.
Let me ask y'all something, because I saw this issue on the news and I honestly have been searching for clarification, haven't really found much of it. What's with this issue at the what's with this issue at the border of Texas with some sort of standoff with the federal and the state troops or some shit? What's
So-
Stand off with
So they were gonna have a trucking brigade go down to the border so that they could block people from crossing. So that they said they were gonna have 700,000 trucks come down. I think that's a fifth of the 25% of the trucks or something. The big rigs. They wanted all of the people with big rigs to stop working and drive on down to Texas and block the border place where they were crossing. They didn't get the 700,000 big rigs, but a few pickup trucks showed up, and they got Kid Rock to come over there. So it was pretty exciting.
one of them fingers in the sandwiches. But yeah, it didn't pan out like they thought it would. I think something like 20 trucks showed up out of the 30,000 or so they were requesting.
Yeah, but I mean, we need comprehensive immigration reform. 10 years ago, we tried to get it through. It got through the Senate. It showed up at the House. John Boehner never put it on the floor. Now we're trying the same thing. We're taking a swipe at it. It's not comprehensive, but there's some things that the Republicans have been saying they can't stand, catch, and release. They want to be able to shut the border down when a certain amount of people come through. We need more border agents down here enforcing the border. So we're trying to get this bill through, and I think that the Republicans' hand is being twisted on it. But for right now, the Republicans say they ain't passing it because they don't want to help Joe Biden. That's what they literally say. They say they don't want to help Joe Biden get elected.
Yeah, not helping Joe Biden is more important than security at the border, and that's their whole talking point.
Yeah,
they ran up on it. They see what happened when with Roe v. Wade and overturning that. It's like they call it the dog that caught the car.
Yeah.
And ever since then, they've been losing elections left and right, mad elections. So this is their talking point. This is all they got left. They can't run on abortion anymore, and it's killing them. So now they got to run on the border. So if we all sign this bill and it fixes the border before the election, then what are we going to have to run on? Because we certainly don't have any policies. Our only policy is whatever the orange potato says.
Yeah, Donald Trump called up the Speaker of the House and told him, "You better not put that bill on the floor. You better not. I need
save it for when I get back in office." Surprise! You ain't coming back. Not if I have anything to do with it. KQ! All right. Let's flip to the next chart. What do we have here?
What do we got there?
Looks like the U.S. economy added 353,000 jobs in January, starting 2024 off with a bang.
Expecting about 120,000 jobs. Ken, did they look like they did a little bit better than that? We did a little bit better than that.
Yes, boy. That is something else.
It's nice.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Getting it done. Yeah. So all of this, huh?
It's a record, consecutive months job increases. This is pretty good. And if we compare, now this is the fourth year of Biden. If we compare the last several Republican administrations and the last several Democratic administrations, none have had the record that Biden has posted. And really, it's not just a happenstance. There are policies behind these jobs. There's the infrastructure bill, the American Rescue Plan, and the CHIPS Act. Those are just three, but those policies put a lot of money where our mouse was in terms of climate, in terms of manufacturing, in terms of semiconductors. And you remember when you couldn't buy a car back in 2021? That's because we didn't have enough chips. And now the CHIPS Act, we're putting factories here. And he's putting them in rural places, in red areas, by the way. Those places that have been overlooked. That's where he's putting all of these high-paying jobs. Different companies are joining in with the federal government. And now we're going to be self-reliant, and we won't have to worry about getting our chips from Taiwan anymore. So, anyway.
Yeah. U.S. job markets is registering one of the longest periods of expansion this century. Yeah, this Yeah, we've been getting down here lately, baby.
That bodes well for all of us, man.
Right. All right, what's next? Oh, look at there. Look at here comes Cookie. 930,500 borrowers received student loan forgiveness under Biden program. Here's what's next. trying to relieve some more debt for some more people. You know, this is
Yes, and this is one of the things that disproportionately affects Black people. And people say, well, why are we giving away money? I don't want my tax dollars spent on somebody else's debt. Well, that means you're gonna have to extract yourself from America, because our tax dollars already go to things like tax cuts for billionaires, subsidies for the oil companies. We subsidize companies to the point where I think it's 30% of the Fortune 500 companies pay zero in taxes. But I pay taxes. I don't make as much as them, but so the thing about this money is instead of this person struggling through paying these loans off, they'll be able to spend that money on things to help boost the economy. So it's money that goes, it's cyclical. It's not just going to sit still in their pockets. They're going to spend this money. And spending, we're a consumer-driven economy here. The consumers drive everything. So that you just putting spending power in people's hands, and that's another policy that is helping the American economy thrive.
Yes, sir. All right. And 5 pillars of President Biden's economic revolution. So, look at all that bread. Yeah, Bidenomics. Yeah, basically, he just goes through the tenets of run the economy hot, make unions stronger. Saw him doing his thing with the auto workers, man. That was a beautiful event.
And he was endorsed by the United Auto Workers.
Absolutely. I wouldn't see why not.
They don't just throw their endorsement around. I mean, you have to really be impressive to the auto workers in order to get their endorsement. Those are hardworking, everyday, ordinary Americans, and they banded together and they're supporting Biden because of the support that he gave to them.
Yeah. Unlike his arch nemesis, who showed up with the scabs.
When they had a strike going on, he met with the non-union auto workers and basically belittled the United Auto Workers' efforts. That's what Trump did.
Right. And the United Auto Workers came out on top in that deal, boy. Yep. All right. He wants to revive domestic manufacturing through green energy. Y'all see we have more invested in green energy than any time. Rein in corporate power. Oh, yeah. That's yeah, buddy. If we can get them to spend a little bit, we probably could fix some things around here. I bet one of them got my reparations checked right now. All right. Expand the safety net. Absolutely. I agree with all of that. Expand the safety net because people need help, and that's how we're all going to end back up in the same.
It's building the economy from the bottom up and the middle out. That's what it is. Focusing in on helping people that are not in the top 1%. Driving consumer spending up. That's the name of the game. That's how you make an economy run. That's why he's running the economy hot. All good things, man.
All right, but hey, it's been a good and fun show. I did want to run one thing by you. I just happened to notice our fave down there in the old Supreme Court guy. Exclusive. Republican hits Clarence Thomas with a lawsuit over his taxes. Apparently, he hadn't been paying his taxes, or he hadn't been filing.
Come on, Uncle Clarence.
He might have something to hide, perhaps. Either way, hey, it's been fun. It's been real. KQ, my people.
Thanks for joining us, KK.
Right. Yeah, thank you so much for pulling up, man. Love your opinion. Love value your support. KQ, we're going to keep it real, baby. Absolutely. Y'all have a good one now.
Peace out, y'all.